Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. Good morning. Welcome to a short biblical reflection, the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 2, verses from 15 up to 20. The shepherds are praising God, and Mary treasures the words in her heart. It is the Gospel reading for the Solemnity of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Mother of God. That is January 1st. In the lectionary, the reading starts only from verse 16. So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. And it adds yet one verse, verse 21, which is not talking anymore about the birth of Jesus, but about his circumcision, which has taken place 8 days after his birth. It would be better to begin this reading with verse 15, which prepares this story, makes an introduction. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this word that became, which the Lord has made known to us." I have translated some expressions more literally. For example, we have this word that became, which generally is translated, for example, this thing that has taken place. There is a Greek word which means literally word, but also can be translated in various ways, like things and so on. But here I prefer this literal translation because they want to go to see this word that became, because this expression, this word that became, can recall us the expression used by John in his prologue, which we read on Christmas Day, the Mass during the day, that the word became flesh and lived among us. So they want to see this word that became flesh, so they want to see this incarnated word. And then consequently, which the Lord has made known to us. This expression has made known could be also translated even by revealed, that has revealed to us. And then in verse 17 we read, when they saw this, they made known about the word which was spoken to them about this child. Here also I made a little bit more literal translation. We have the same expression as in verse 15, to make known. Before the Lord has made known to them about this incarnated word, and now they are making known about this word, but to others. So before they receive the message, the revelation, now they are sharing this revelation with others. In other words, before the angels announced to them, now they are also announcing what the angels told them, they are announcing to others. Or even we could say they are even the first apostles proclaiming this gospel, this good news. And in verse 18, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherd told them. In verse 19, we have the description of what Mary does. She doesn't say any word. Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. And verse 20 concludes, the shepherds return, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen as it had been told them. In the whole story, the emphasis is so much the verbs of speech. For example, the shepherds said to one another. Then we have in verse 17 that which was spoken to them, and then they shepherds also were telling to others. And in verse 20 also what has been told to them. And then also a repetition of the same couple, to hear and to see. We have it also in verses 17, when they saw, in verse 18, and all who heard. And Mary doesn't say any word, but she just treasures all these words, and also here quite often will be translated these things. I prefer this literal translation, this word, because it can recall, in fact, the Annunciation story, what the angel has told to her, what the angel has revealed to her, and then also the encounter between her and Elizabeth, what Elizabeth told her. And of course, could be all other words which Mary heard, which are not recorded in the Gospel, but even in this story, because they were speaking the angels, they were speaking now the shepherds. And based on it, we can make also the following reflection. On one hand, yes, there is this importance of speaking, revealing the message, the good news, as the angels did, and now consequently the shepherds, because they are causing amazement on the side of others, and then they themselves are also glorifying and praising God. But with such in such a situation, in such a miracle, sometimes also it is better even not to say any word. So what Mary does, it is very also beautiful and important. Sometimes there is need just to keep silence, to adore, to treasure what we hear, and to ponder on them, to reflect on them. So therefore, I wish you also that as we are about to begin the new year, we may also ponder the words which are spoken to us through the scripture, and what also all these events, happenings concerning Jesus sends the message that the Christ may be born in our hearts and be our inspiration. God bless you and have a happy and a blessed new year.